Hello, America. Welcome to Friday. I want to recap some of the things I didn't really get to spend a lot of time on. And I want to start with Joe Scarborough. Apparently, he does a television show on something called MSNBC. I think he's on maybe in the afternoon or something. And here's what he had to say. Watch.
I do want to go back to Hunter Biden, though, because what we always hear from these insurrectionists and these weirdos and these freaks is that there are crimes out there. They can never name a crime. And then they say the media is covering up. The deep state is covering it up. You go, covering up what? I can show you New Yorker articles from 2019 that laid bare not just what Hunter Biden did, but what Biden's family has done through the years. Not illegal, perhaps unethical. And the concern around Biden since 2013 that his son was embarrassing him. This has been reported on by the New Yorker in long, 10,000 in the New York Times and the Washington Post. Unlike right-wing pro-Trump media outlets, this has been laid bare.
Got it. Joe, good to see that you still have a cute little show somewhere. You know, that was real journalism when he called people who are looking into Joe and Hunter Biden insurrectionist weirdos and freaks. So I think we know immediately where he stands. Let me just say this. Good news for the insurrectionist weirdos and freaks. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the old stuff. There was something huge that came out yesterday that I'm going to address after this from Jace Medical. You've heard me talk about the Jace case from Jace Medical. It holds 5 of the most important antibiotics for emergency use, but I'm happy to announce that they are launching a new product. This has filled a hole that I have tried to fill, try to figure out how to do this legally forever. I am a prepper, yes. And I do believe that there is a chance that we have some sort of supply chain breakdown in the medical field, and we'll have a hard time getting drugs that we have prescriptions for. I have a member of my family that needs antidepressant. I have a daughter that needs seizure medication. In fact, I have 2 daughters that need seizure medication. I take high blood pressure medication. If, God forbid, you have, you need insulin or you need some sort of medicine for diabetes, if there's a supply chain breakdown, what happens to you? 12-month backup right now. It's a backup supply of your prescription medication in case of a supply chain breakdown or an emergency. It's going to cover cholesterol, diabetes, heart health, blood pressure, mental health, and more. The order is reviewed by a certified healthcare professional and delivered right to your door. Please check this out. It's jacemedical.com. jacemedical.com. Use the promo code BECK and save at checkout. Okay, so Joe Scarborough, who's I'm sure a lovely individual, says that the GOP can never name a Biden crime. Except yesterday. We haven't been asking for him to go to jail. We've been asking, well, Hunter, yes, but we have been asking for an investigation, transparent. Let's lay out all the facts. Well, we found out yesterday, according to 2 IRS whistleblowers and then whistleblowers from the FBI, that this whole investigation has been thwarted. You said that maybe Russian misinformation was responsible for the Hunter Biden laptop. You said that in October or is it late October of 2020. We just found out in October 2019, the FBI verified that that was indeed his laptop. There should be an investigation on that because that seems like corruption, especially when you tie in the FBI counseling people that there might be a release of some information, it's misinformation, and oh, we don't know anything about the laptop. Clear lie. Most importantly, we now have a WhatsApp message that is from Hunter Biden to his source in China that was sending him cash. The guy is in the Communist Party. He is also, doing the deal for this energy company for Hunter, not Joe. He knows nothing about it. Except, here's what we now have as evidence. Did Joe know anything about this? Quote, I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I'd like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and that means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or a text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to never let a grudge die, you will regret not doing what I say. Holy cow. Now, do we know those two were together? The FBI would not let the IRS actually follow through. They wanted to geotrack. However, the Washington Examiner did the job that nobody at NBC is willing to do, apparently, and they found pictures of Joe and Hunter Biden together that day in their Delaware home, where this supposedly came from. Can we not all say there's reasonable doubt now that maybe we should be very transparent and open and maybe have an independent counsel? Of course, but nobody is really using a man is innocent before guilty until proven guilty and the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. I personally think if these things are true, and they appear to be according to the whistleblowers, if they are true, then he's got to go. He has to go. Not Hunter, Joe Biden. He is compromised and he has lied about taking money from countries that are our enemies. What else would he lie about? I think it's beyond a reasonable doubt myself, but it should be tried out in the open. The other thing that concerns me is Hunter Biden can lie on his federal registration about being addicted to drugs. He can lie about that. I know every time I've filled out a registration form for the government for a background check, it says anything that you say that is not true is a felony. Well, how did he get a misdemeanor charge? How is this no jail time, especially when your dad, the leader of the free world, is saying things like this?
These are common sense requirements all gun owners should follow. Every gun owner should be required to have the same requirements held to him or her.
So all gun owners responsible. Well, see, there's the deal. Hunter's not a responsible gun owner. By the way, they tried to sully Durham's reputation. Didn't really go well. Watch this.
It was all set up to hurt the Mueller report, which was correct and was redacted, to hurt the Bidens and to help Trump. And you were a part of it. You have a good reputation. You had a good reputation. That's why the two Democrats supported you. But the longer you hold on to Mr. Barr and this report that Mr. Barr gave you as special counsel, your reputation will be damaged. As everybody's reputation who gets involved with Donald Trump is damaged, he's damaged goods. There's no good dealing with him because you will end up on the bottom of a pyre.
My concern about my reputation is with the people who I respect and my family and my Lord. And I'm perfectly comfortable with my reputation with them, sir.
I don't necessarily agree with Durham and what his report says, but I believe him. I don't think that, I mean, I know if I were called to testify, please, if I had to testify in front of Congress, I would be very clear up front in a very nice way. Please don't ask me about my reputation and honor and integrity, because I don't care what any of you guys say about my honor and integrity or anybody else's, because I don't think you've seen it in many years. Let me go to Let me go to Newsom. I think that, and I'm alone in this, I think in this building, that RFK has a real chance to be a challenger. RFK is doing well, and if he does really well in New Hampshire, he might just pull it off. And I say that because he'd be attracting the Democrats who are silent. It's kind of like a Donald Trump thing. Remember all the silent GOPers? Nobody on the Democratic side wants to admit that they're not 100% behind Biden and his. Nobody wants to say that. Nobody. But he's already got 15% in polls. And if he could pull something off in New Hampshire, which he's talking about this week, then he'll be, I think, a real force for the Democrats to reckon with. He is talking about the corruption in the FBI. Anybody who's really watching things and is honest, I don't care what side or who you voted for, you know there's real corruption. You know there was a problem in Wuhan with the United States and Anthony Fauci, and they had no right to do what they did. You know that the Justice Department is corrupt and the government is out of control. He has credibility. He also has the Kennedy name. He's not the son of John Kennedy. He's the son of the one Kennedy that, at least I think, would have been the best Kennedy yet. So he has that credibility. What he doesn't have is permission from the Democratic Party. This, if it gets serious about Joe Biden looking like it's in the dust, Kamala is not a reasonable pick. They've already selected their pick, I believe. If you see RFK becoming serious and as a challenger to Joe Biden, they're going to drop in Gavin. Watch.
See what's happening there. We do see businesses moving out for various reasons, but some of them saying they're concerned about the crime in the area. When you see that happening to your beloved city, what goes through your mind, and do you think something's going wrong there?
No, I think they're struggling to recover from the pandemic. They're struggling to come back. They're struggling with the macroeconomic shifts, particularly as it relates to telework, as it relates to what's the future of a downtown. Is it stacking of offices or stacking of people? And they're in the process of rezoning and rebirth and reimagination. By the way, I've seen that in San Francisco for decades.
Yeah, but you haven't seen all the pooping on the streets and the drug addicts and everything else like it is today for decades. Okay, Gavin? I love the fact that they are asking you to dismiss what you see with your own eyes. Come on. For instance, I'm not a fan of, and I know many in this audience are, well, I don't know if this is true. I'm a fan of Donald Trump and his policies, what he's done for the country. I'm not a fan of all of the things he says and when he says it. I'm a big fan of some of the stuff as comedy. It's great. But I don't like the divisiveness from any side. But I have to tell you, I think that's me not being willing to deny what is true. And I think there's a lot of people like that. When it comes to the Democrats, you not only are not saying the truth about the flaws of your candidate, you're asking people to deny what they see in their bank account, in their city, on the streets, homelessness, drugs, school, all of it. And I can't believe how many people are still willing to sit, swallow it, and take it. That's why I think RFK is going to play a much, much bigger role. By the way, speaking of lies, here's the latest from GLAAD about Musk and Twitter.
Twitter actually used to be the leader. We sat on their Trust and Safety Council, but Elon Musk has turned Twitter into a weapon against the LGBTQ community, and he leads the charge. Literally leads the charge with tweeting out anti-trans rhetoric and misinformation about the trans community and the LGBT.
This is a response to his comments on cis. Here on Twitter, I think, I'm quoting him as close as I can. Here on Twitter, we look at the word cis as a slam or a slur. Well, it's not, and yet it is. That's what it's intended. Well, you're just cisgender. You're just old. You're just white. You're just a male. Okay? You believe in traditional marriage. That's how they mean it when they wield it. That doesn't mean that you're anti anything. You're just pointing out that I want you to know that I interpret that as a slur on people that believe in traditional things or are in a monogamous relationship, or, yep, I was born a boy and I am a boy and that's the way it is. All right, let me finish up with some few other topics that I have for you right after I tell you about my Patriot Supply. According to the USDA, it looks like a full third of America's annually planted crops are not going to be harvested this season. 1/3. Why? Fertilizer shortages, severe drought. You know what this means. Your grocery store, you're going to go and look around and you'll have fewer things and the prices will be higher. And they're about to get even much higher. That is where we are headed, not just this year, but the things our global governments are doing are going to make it harder and harder to afford meat and food and will cause more and more disruption. Is your family prepared? It is time for you to stock up on some emergency food. I'm not talking a year's worth or whatever, not that I have that. Just 4 weeks even will help. Right now, My Patriot Supply has a 4-week discount. 4 weeks of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, snacks, all of it to keep you and your family going strong. They have a special on each 4-week kit that you need. You go to mypatriotsupply.com. You're going to get free shipping, and you're going to get a special deal on this. mypatriotsupply.com. All right, we're in the home stretch. Let me take you first to when I said just a minute ago, it's where we're headed. Higher prices, less gas, and everything else. I just spent some time over in Scotland and England. And while I was there, somebody stood up in the Irish, a senator, and this is how she excuses restricting freedoms. Listen.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
I wonder where she stood on the Catholic or Protestant thing. We're talking about freedom of speech, but they don't have freedom of speech in places like Ireland. And what I found from the United Kingdom last couple of weeks is they are way ahead and are entering some very choppy waters. Now, the good news is because of J.K. Rowling, maybe there's a chance to turn this around. One last one, Christine Anampour, who is just one of the most fair journalists I've ever seen, and I say that with documentation of working with her, sat down with Barack Obama. Listen to this.
You know, I dealt with China to get the Paris Accords done. I dealt with Modi to get the Paris Accords done, because I think climate change is something that transcends, any particular momentary issues. It's a problem that humanity's got to deal with over the next several decades in a serious way. I do think that it is appropriate for the President of the United States, where he or she can, to uphold those principles and to challenge, whether behind closed doors or in public, trends that are troubling. I think it is important for the President of the United States to say that if you have Uyghurs in China who are being placed in mass camps and re-educated, quote unquote, that's a problem.
Okay, that's big of you. That is big of you. No, seriously. That's a problem. Yeah. But what he was saying beforehand in relation to the Uyghurs is climate change is a bigger problem. I think that should be put on his tombstone when he eventually dies at the ripe old age of 170 or however long he lives. That is one of those statements that will be in history books when the world rights itself from this insane collectivism once again. It'll be quotes like that you do not want on your record. All right, we will see you next week from St. George. Good night.